All right, guys, I have a special one for you today. Shout out to my friend Nick Morris for allowing me to take home his amplifier. This is a modded Rev G dual rectifier, and I can't wait to dial it in. Let's get started. We're going to get started with the dial-in just a second here, but before we do that, I wanted to once again thank Nick Morris for allowing me to bring this home. This is a one-of-a-kind amplifier. I mean, he got it modded to the specs that he wanted, and we're going to see how good they did on this. In fact, the guy who modded this used to work at Mesa, and I hate myself right now. I can't remember his name or the name of his company. When I find out, I'll post it in the description. So what were the mods on this amplifier? So according to Nick, what was done was he tightened up the low end and made it more punchy and less tubby and less loose. And he sculpted the top end so it wasn't fizzy. It had more texture and more aggression on it as opposed to all the fizz that the dual Recs are known for. And along with cleaning up the noise issues that the dual Recs are known to have, he also adjusted the tone stack in it and made it a lot more usable, and it makes more sense when you turn the knobs. So I have everything set at noon on the amp right now, and we're going to go ahead and start with the orange channel with the rectifiers turned on as opposed to the silicone diodes. We'll go to those in a minute here. I usually prefer the diodes because it's tighter and more aggressive, in my opinion, with the diodes. But for right now, we'll start with the rectifier mode and see how it sounds. We're going to start dialing in the amplifier with the overdrive pedal off, and once I get it sounding good, I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then I'll go ahead and engage the overdrive pedal and then dial it in further from there. Wow, first impressions on the orange channel are very good. It's a lot tighter than what I'm used to, dealing with dual Recs. And this is kind of the money channel on most of the dual Recs anyways. Everybody loves the orange channel, but we'll get to the red channel in a minute. But so far, I'm noticing a lot of differences with this amp and with the mods. I mean, the tone stack is completely different. Usually when you crank the presence up, you get just all this fizz and this horrible top end, but with this, it's all pretty usable, I mean, I cranked it all the way up and it's real subtle, it doesn't add a bunch of fizz to it. So the tone stack is definitely different, and I think there's a lot of usable space on the knobs. And the gain structure is a lot tighter, no fizz, and it's more of like a nice textured top end, and it's the gain structure is just much more put together, it's not flubby and loose and fizzy anymore, I mean, the gain structure is really good. It's kind of sculpted in a way, not overly sculpted though. I mean, there's a little bit of a dryness there, but I'm kind of digging what the gain structure is. Let's go ahead and switch to the silicone diodes now and see what that's like. I know there's going to be a slight volume jump when I do that, so I'll have to make an adjustment. You know what, I'll do that right now. I'll take the volume down a little bit. All right, so I'm going to switch from the rectifier, the tube rectifiers, to the silicone diodes while I'm playing. Yeah, it jumped up in volume a little bit, but man, usually I hate the rectifier mode in the dual Recs, you know, because it's real squishy and unresponsive and sluggish. But with this amplifier, it's not the case. I mean, I'm not noticing a big difference in feel so far. I'm just noticing a little bit of a volume jump, but that's really about it. Let me switch back and forth a couple more times and see what I notice. Yeah, it's a little tighter. You know, now that I've gone back and forth a few times, it's definitely a little tighter and a little punchier when I go to the silicone diodes. So since that's the way I typically like these amplifiers, I'll go ahead and keep it that way. But before we turn on the overdrive, let's go ahead and switch to the red channel and see what that's like. And I'll do a quick dial in on that as well. Well, the red channel's a little thinner, but still sounds really good. Now, if memory serves, most of the time when I played the dual Recs in the past, at least with the amps that I had a Roadster and I had a couple other, you know, dual Recs over the years, and the red channel was always pretty bright and it could be a little harsh at times, but this one definitely seems a little easier to get along with, if that makes sense. So let's switch back to the orange channel, since again that's pretty much the money channel, and I'm going to go ahead and turn on the Mud Killer while I'm playing it and see how it sounds when I do that. Wow, that is some really, really good texture there. The overdrive works really good with this amplifier. It doesn't thin it out too much. And the thing is, with the you know, the old, you know, the unmodded version of this amplifier, when you boosted it, I mean, you really needed to big time because it was so flubby. But with this amplifier, what I noticed is, yeah, it tightened up, it got more responsive, but the top end even got better. I mean, it was just more aggressive, but not fizzy, which is really nice. This is acting like a lot of the more modern amps that I have on my shelves behind me. When I boost it, it just gets, you know, all the stuff that you love about it just gets amplified and gets, you know, bumped up a few notches even more. And I really love the way it's responding right now. So let me fine tune it now that I have the boost engaged, and I'll change for, you know, through a couple different boosts for you as well. Right now I'm using the Mud Killer, And I have it set up pretty normal, so let's go ahead and see what we got now. Wow, I'm freaking blown away. This is probably the best sounding dual rec I've ever played in my life, and I've played a lot of them. And it's like everything you love about dual recs, but better, you know? I mean, because dual recs are awesome, but, you know, they always had that flubby, fizzy thing going on, and this has that really big sound that they have. So it's retained all that bigness, but and that fullness, but there's no fizz. It's just really texturized, and really there's just a lot of great texture on the top end. And the low end now is just punchier. It's fuller and punchier, and it's not as goopy as they used to be, like driving around on flat tires. You know, this thing's tight, aggressive, and very responsive, especially with the overdrive. And the voicing on it is definitely a lot more towards the modern era. You know, I mean, that was the thing that after I got my Badlander, which I will shoot this out with in another video, but when I got my Badlander and shot it out with my Roadster, I noticed right away that the voicing was so vintage on the Roadster compared to the Badlander, and that's one of the reasons why I sold it. I mean, it sounded great, but once you go modern, it's really hard to go back to like a vintage voicing. When your ears get tuned to that, get used to it, you kind of get spoiled, you know? So I'll shut up now, and let's go to the red channel with the boost and see what that's like. Dude, I like both channels on this almost equally, which is kind of rare, because like I said, on the regular dual Recs, I usually avoided the red channel. It was just too thin, too bright, and too harsh. But the red channel on this amplifier, it's definitely different, a little less gainy, a little less full, but it's not harsh or thin. I mean, it is a little less fuller, like I said, but I mean, it's not bad. It's pretty sculpted. Let me switch between these and just see what they sound like. I'll go ahead and switch to the other camera here so you can watch me switch between them. Wow, the orange channel is definitely fuller, but I kind of like the sculpted version of the red channel as well. I think that's a great recording channel. Like, it would record really well without being too big for the for the mix. I mean, I know you could sculpt it after you record it and all that, but I mean, it just sounds really good. I could go either way on the channels on this amplifier, and I can't believe I'm saying that, because I usually avoid the red channel like a plague, but on this amplifier, the mod is definitely helping it out big time. You know, it made both channels very, very usable. All right, now let's have some fun with it. I've been using the Mud Killer, so let's go ahead and switch from the Mud Killer to the KSR Eros. I'll do that while I'm playing so you can hear the difference. So we'll stay on the orange channel for this, and again, the silicone diodes is what we're using as opposed to the tube rectifiers. Here we go. I'm kind of preferring the KSR Eros with this amp. Holy crap, that really woke it up. That is a nasty freaking pedal, I'll tell you. I've had this pedal for a while, and I've kind of ignored it, and I kind of wish I haven't, because it's really versatile. There's so many knobs and switches and ways to dial in the pedal. I mean, it'll work with any amp, and if you got an amp that needs just a little more than your average pedal will give it, the KSR Eros will definitely do that. So now let's switch from that to the Pepper's Dirty Tree. I have it in TC mode. You know what? Let's switch it over to DT mode and just see what that does. So I'm going to start with the KSR and switch over to the Dirty Tree. Okay, so with the Dirty Tree, it got a more sculpted sound, and the Dirty Tree boosts some signals, some frequencies in the high mids area, and I could hear that. It actually sounds really good. So let's go ahead and switch from the DT mode to the TC mode on this pedal and see what we get. Yeah, it's definitely a little fuller in the TC mode, so let me make some adjustments on the pedal while I'm playing here. Yeah, that sounds really good too. Little fuller, not as aggressive as I want in the TC mode. I think the DT mode's a little better as far as aggression goes. Let's do one more. Let's go to the precision drive. I mean, I haven't played that in a while, so we're going to switch from the dirty tree in TC mode to the precision drive now. Well, all these pedals work really good with the amp, but I would say, I mean, if I'm in the mood, you know, and I just want to freaking, you know, burn the world down, I think the KSR pedal would probably be more suitable for that. So let me switch back to that now, because that just really worked for me. And let's do a mix. Let's see how it sounds in one of my mixes. Holy shit. Man, this amp is freaking awesome. Oh my God, really great feel, especially with the pedal engaged. I mean, it just sounded awesome. It felt great to play. It was really fun to dig in and play and get that vibrato going. All the pinch harmonics came out really nice. I mean, such great texture. This honestly is hands down the best, the absolute best dual rectifier I have ever played, and I've played a lot of them. I mean, this thing really slays all of them. Just amazing texture in this thing. Really great overall voicing and tone and feel, response, everything. So when they did the mods on this, I don't think they could have done them any better. The gain structure is awesome in it. I just love everything about it, and I really like the fact that you can use both channels now, depending on your taste or your needs or whatever. Either channel would work for you. And the effects loop is awesome in it too. I mean, the effects sounded great through it. I didn't have any issues. And the amp is not noisy at all, especially when you compare it to the regular dual Recs. I mean, the noise floor is very low in this amplifier. So Yeah, great job. So make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't, because I'm going to be shooting this out with my Badlander very soon in another upcoming episode here, and I can't wait to see how they compare. And once again, I'll post the name of the person who did the mods on this amplifier, and if there's a website that he has, I'll make sure I post that as well. As soon as I get a hold of Nick, I'll get that information for you guys. So if you have a dual rectifier and you're kind of like, oh, it's great, but I just wish it was this way and not that way or whatever, I can tell you right now, it pays to have it modded, because it's proof's right here, man. I mean, seriously, this is the most fun I've ever had playing a dual rec. I mean, this thing is awesome. So don't give up on your dual recs. Get them modded. It's worth it. Well, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, please do, and click the bell so that you can be notified every time I either go live or come out with a new episode. And to all my Patreon supporters and subscribers, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And I do have a lot more stuff coming up for you guys, and I'll see you on the next episode.